Yeah, I mean, we're planting Riesling by the driveway right now, so watch this space in 10 years and I might be able to tell you what this site does with Riesling. But when I first got out of high school, I did an arts degree at University of Toronto, but I started off in sciences and realized right away that sciences didn't push all of my buttons. So, arts degree in the 80s means a restaurant career. And I was 15 years in Toronto restaurants, but over the course of that time, I was lucky enough to get hired at a place called Select Bistro, which is still going, right? And it is one of the great icon restaurants in Toronto for wine lists. So I was managing that wine list for 8 years, and that's how I kind of caught the bug and what got me interested into wine. And then I decided I was going to swim upstream on the supply chain, so I moved down to Niagara with my wife and went through Brock's Covey with their first graduating class and started here right after that. My wife and I, we had one car, so I was cycling every day to Brock up the hill. So not only was the old guy in class, but I was the old sweaty guy in class. Brock was a great educational experience in terms of vine growing, but you can't really teach winemaking. It's very experiential. Once you start to scratch the surface of wine, it's the complexities in there are endless, and then you start thinking about where those complexities come from, and you're down the rabbit hole at that point, and it's just an endless series of fascinating things to think about and discover and try to work with. There are some wines that you love that are pure varietal expressions of a vine in a certain field, and with minimal winemaker influence. And then there's the other end of the spectrum where somebody has taken the trouble to do a blend, whether it's a blend of varietals or a blend of the same varietal from different fields to create a much more complex wine. Usually we should be behaving as midwives, right? Just making sure nothing goes wrong and let things happen as they're supposed to happen. One of the manifestations of that around here is, Creekside originally had the mandate to make the big burly reds, and we had a very young barrel program, so we had this big wood element on our reds, but it was never really where we wanted to be. It's just we had a lot of new wood. And now, people say our style is moving back to a little bit more old world elegant, less new wood. It's just where we wanted to be. It's just now we have the old wood to do it. One of the key things that you pick up with a winemaking experience, it's knowing when to worry and knowing when not to worry. And somebody like J.L. Grew at Stratus has infinitely more experience than me, and every time he says something, I'm listening, and most of what he says will be, well, wait and see, it will probably work out. So if you're committed to being a good red wine producer, then you need the tools, what you're looking at behind me, and the time to do it. It's one thing to do home winemaking. It's another thing when you're playing with your owner's money and they have a lot of money on the table. So, a mistake is a $60,000 mistake. So there should be some apprenticeship before you're given the reins of the horse yourself.
Have you ever had a $60,000 mistake?
No. Wood. Touch wood.